All right, welcome back, YouTube. Man, I need to get a better microphone. Holy crap. I just finished recording this video only to find out that all of the audio had about 5,000 mic booms in it because my microphone is very cheap and very, very sensitive to even the slightly loudest things. So, yeah, I'm gonna do my best to re-record this, and yeah, I hope you all enjoy. Today, we are ranking DBD killers based on their potential marriage material. Now, starting off with Wraith, his background is basically he was just uh, a poor guy, poor little boy, poor little baby man who came to America, and the bell that he actually uses to bonk constantly came from his father. He used to actually be a regular dude, just like you and me, but then he found out that the boss he was working for had him crush people in vehicles on a daily basis, so he snapped and crushed his boss. When it comes to marriage material, I feel like. I feel as if he could be saved, and because of that, we put him in A tier. But another thing is, one of the cosmetics that him and the nurse have suggests that they kind of have something going on, but nothing's been made official. So if you can maybe swoop in and take them before they get married, you could get her mad and become an enemy. But hey, love is a battlefield, as they say. All right, we got the knight. The knight's a bit of a package deal, and you're basically marrying a dude who is obsessed with darkness, death, and violence. If that's something you're a part of, you may actually fit in well with his group, but if you don't really like seeking out the beautiful, abundant joy of death, darkness, and blood, then, well, not really for you. Especially when you hang out with all those boys, but anyway, we got the Huntress. Now, the Huntress, in my opinion, is probably the best option out of all of these killers because, mentally speaking, she's a little insane, right? But when you look at her lore, you realize that this insanity, it comes from a place of deep, deep, deep trauma. So if you actually got her some psychiatric help and somehow managed to keep her calm, this is kind of a caveman ooga booga situation, right? She has a very stunted, what's the word, mentality, I guess, a stunted psyche. So if you could manage to actually fix her, which you could, it would be difficult because she's, in a kind of like a defense mode psychologically. She'd make a pretty good wife. Yeah, in my opinion. Next up, we got Nurse. Now, the Nurse is lore-wise just kind of like Wraith in the fact that they were just everyday people. She actually had a husband before she went nuts, and it's inferred that the husband died. So, I mean, if she was married once, odds are she can be married again. But like I said, her and Wraith, they got something going on. She did snap, and she's kind of in a weird limbo stasis between life and death. I'm not sure if she's dead or not, but yeah, if you're into that, you'd fit in well. Actually, I'll put her in B tier because of that. You don't really know if she's alive or dead. She's spooky, be flying around the house at night. Gotta get a drink of water, fly down to the kitchen. Next up, we got the artist. The artist, in my opinion, is she has a lot of lore, but most of which is the fact that she's just super, super depressed. So, depending on whether or not you want to battle that with her and actually, you know, help her, I'd put her in A tier. She has pretty close similarities with Huntress and the fact that they're both deep rooted in trauma, but I feel as if hers is. The Huntress kind of embraced her trauma and is facing it head on through violence, whereas she's just kind of gone insane from it, right? And allowed it to transform her into a monster. So they're both monsters, but they're pretty different. Next up, you got the narcissist trickster. I'm gonna put him in D tier just because of the fact that he ultimately does only care about himself and he has zero remorse for other people. unless they, in a typical narcissist fashion, benefit him somehow in some way. We got the Legion. Now, the Legion's another package deal. If you're gonna marry one, you gotta marry all four of them. So, if you like marrying teenagers who are basically fresh out of high school, 18, 19, I don't really think they're good marriage material, to be completely honest with you, especially because you're marrying four of them at the same time. But they're all complete psychopaths who literally formed a cult of violence just because they could. That's pretty much their entire lore right there. So do with that what you will. Next up, we got the clown. This dude is basically a gooner, geeking pervert, and don't let his gut mistake you. I'm not sure if I'll put him in D tier yet, but he is basically a freaky deaky guy, and the only reason he even got caught in the real world for his crimes is because he got lazy with it. So I don't know. I feel as if this dude would just try to get freaky deaky with you, then murder you. Probably not the best. Now, Hillbilly is interesting because the Hillbilly is kind of like the Huntress, except he has a very limited view on the world. The Huntress has survived a lot, whereas he has basically just been in darkness his entire life, right? And when he did get out, he murdered everyone, even animals. And because of that, it's like, I don't think you could maybe marry him, but it wouldn't really be your best option. It'd be like trying to tame a barbarian, a Mongolian barbarian. It's just not really gonna work unless you have something very enticing. The Doctor, this dude literally tortured people for the CIA and the U.S. government and became mad because of it. He is so psychologically gone. You're just good luck. Nemesis. This guy is a living, breathing weapon made by the Umbrella Corporation, and because of that, yeah, you could marry him, but he's not gonna stick around. Dude has to go find stars, right? And we got the pedo. Yeah, that's enough said. Myers, literally, as Loomis said, the eyes of evil. There is no changing him. He will murder you and your entire family. Now, next up, we have the Spirit. The Spirit's interesting because she is a dead, vengeful spirit, and because of that, there's not really any communicating with her. So, therefore, I don't really think marriage would ever be an option. Same thing with Oni, really. I'll put the Oni here because they're both blinded by rage and fury, so yeah, there's really no. If you try to talk to them, they'll probably just chop your head off and call it a day. We got the new killer, the Krasu, or the Kraus, however you pronounce her name. I would put her in C tier because she does look like a normal woman, right? She looks pretty okay until you realize that she can literally detach her head and organs from the rest of her body. And let's say you're sleeping after marrying her, right? And you look over and you realize, oh wait, my wife's headless, organless corpse, her flesh suit, is just laying next to me while she's outside murdering and eating people to survive. Yeah, that wouldn't exactly be a great marriage, and she'd probably end up eating you one night. Ayo, pause. Next up, we got the alien. Literally a biologically engineered super weapon of mass destruction. They have no empathy. However, in one alien movie, I believe it's one of the worst movies, I think it's Resurrection or something like that, the aliens are shown to have a certain level of empathy for their mothers. If you're some kind of weird freak show alien hybrid, if you're the mother of that, still, mothers don't marry aliens, right? So at the end of the day, they'll kill you on sight. Next up, we got the Trapper, Evan McMillan. You see, this guy, he's kind of 50-50, right? And originally, I was going to put him at B tier, but because he is one of the very few killers who actually had the guts to fight back against the entity, that's why he has the spikes in his arms, I would put him in A tier, because the fact he tried to fight the entity just goes to show he's not all gone, or at least he wasn't then. So I do believe you could actually reason with him, but I wouldn't take the chances. Demogorgon, another freak of nature, zero potential. Now the twins are interesting. It's kind of a package deal. I mean, if you could somehow manage to convince Charlotte to separate herself from Victor, who's basically a hellspawn little hobgoblin, yeah, maybe you could get her to fix up the gaping chest cavity and, maybe live a bit longer, but really, it's just a huge risk. So you could go for it, I guess. We got the Irish cowboy, the Death Slinger. I'd put him in C because his lore states that he's basically just a psychotic cowboy, right? But he's also smart. He did have this gun made for him. He does have an injured leg, so that's primarily the reason why I'm putting him in C tier. If he does manage to reel you in and you get close, you could literally just kick his leg and snap it in half and then run away, right? So even if your attempts at marrying him are bad, you could actually get away. Next up, we got the Ghostface. Now, this Ghostface is interesting because it's it's one of the first killers in DBD that's a half license. And what that means is the character themselves, their like identity is completely original. Danny Johnson or something Olsen, I remember. The license comes from his mask. So if we're basing his personality off of his lore, odds are you wouldn't stand a good chance at marrying this dude. However, he does also have the stoner Ghostface mask, which kind of implies that he has better days where he's not trying to murder everybody and torment people. So because of that, I'm putting him at D tier, or not D tier, C tier, because it seems like with him, every day would be a 50-50 gamble. You don't know if you're going to be stabbed to death or not. Singularity, yet another instance of a weapon cannot be reasoned with. Let's get the weapons out of the game. Dredge, weapon can't be reasoned with. Literally a entity that's based off of fear and anxiety. You got the unknown. The unknown again, basically a urban legend, an entity of dark origins, cannot be reasoned with. Pyramid Head cannot be reasoned with. I mean, the dude can't even speak English or any language for that matter. And Onryo, well, she's young. I mean, not really marriage material. Animatronic. All right. Animatronic, I'd put in. I would put him in D tier because he didn't do the same things that the pedo did. So, you know, I mean, he's not much better, but he is still slightly better. He's also stuck in the suit, so good luck getting a hug or whatever. The ghoul, I would put the ghoul in. I would say high C tier, just because of the fact that, well, if we're basing our tier, our ghoul, off of the DBD version, then it would definitely be a D tier, right? Because the ghoul in DBD has not yet learned to understand his hunger and how to control it. And because of that, dude's probably going to murder you the moment he sees you. And we got the Houndmaster. Houndmaster, I would put her at B. She has an awesome dog, and she is psychotic. But at the end of the day, she's also a sailor. So you could go to some really cool places with her if you did manage to calm her down and not have her murder you. But, yep. We got Vecna. I would say you could marry Vecna, but the last thing that this all-powerful mage is interested in is marriage, right? Skull Merchant. Now, the Skull Merchant is interesting. She's beautiful, and she's extremely intelligent, but the problem is she already has everything in the world, right? She has everything she could ever want. It's kind of like Kraven the Hunter in that sense, right? Like, the reason he hunts isn't because he needs to, it's because he's just bored and has nothing better to do with his time, so if you could maybe somehow bring something to her that she doesn't already have, you could maybe get somewhere with her, or she could just murder you and run off with it. But the Hag, The hag is interesting. I don't think the hag could actually be reasoned with because, again, the hag is an entity that is outside of reason. It's a she's a vengeful entity that took over the hag's human form, right, when she was enslaved in a basement. So, eh, maybe not. I doubt it. The blight, yeah, no one's gonna marry this dude. I mean, just look at his mouth. Yeah, you're not even gonna be able to kiss him on the wedding day. The plague, I would say there is potential for the plague, but the problem is in her lore, she's basically devoted her entire life to worshiping the entity, and because of that, I'll put her at D. Maybe you could be like a side piece or something. That's really about it. And we got Dracula. Dracula from the Castlevania series, specifically, of video games. He has a blood feud with the Belmont clan or family. I would say what he brings to the table is literal immortality. So if you could manage to convince him to marry you, I mean, that'd be pretty cool. You could be immortal, but, then you'd be a vampire. So take that with what you will, I guess. Chucky, D tier. This dude is insanely psychotic. I mean, his wife is literally a psychotic doll, and the only way you could ever marry this dude is if he just wanted you. That's really about it. Wesker, basically in the same spot as Trickster. I would say probably lower because he's also a bit like he has a superiority complex, kind of racist, but basically, if you're not a biologically engineered superhuman, you're inferior to him, and because of that, you're not even an option. All right, Amanda the pig. She is kind of in the same vein as the plague, and that's because of the fact that in the lore, after she was taken by the entity, she somehow views the entity as a part of John Kramer, Jigsaw, his plan. So she kind of, I wouldn't say worships, but she serves the entity, right? So good luck with her, I guess. Now Bubba, I would say you have a pretty decent chance, Bubba. He cares about his family deeply. That's why he literally was brainwashed into thinking it's okay to murder and eat outsiders. If you could somehow convince him that you love his family more than he does, or that that you'd be willing to die for him too, maybe you could marry him. But at the same time, why would you really want to? I mean, do you really want to be eating Survivor pudding every night for dinner? I know I don't, but yeah, guys, this is my tier list. Let me know what you guys think about it. I feel maybe the doctor and Skull Merchant could be reevaluated a little bit better, but other than that, I think this is a pretty good list. The Wraith and Trapper, an argument could maybe be made that they're S tier. I don't know though. They're both psychologically broke in a way that they probably couldn't come back from, whereas the Huntress, she has faced so much adversity and so much trauma, she could still be taken back from it. But where it's like these guys, they've kind of just given into their trauma, right? She's still living through it, right? So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you liked the video, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.